to Limelight Locals, featuring the nightlife and night scene. Philly's most popular and fun bars, taverns, clubs, and pubs. My name is Toni Washingtin, and we're coming to you from one of the oldest cities in the country, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. So come along as we take you on a tour to some of the most exciting and fun places in our beautiful city. Hi, welcome to this edition of Limelight Locals. My name is Toni Washingtin, and we're coming to you from the Mermaid in East Mount Airy. Today I have my special guest, David White, and we're going to talk about some of the things that David is doing with his production company, how he started, where he started, and things of that nature. Welcome, David.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to see you today.
Toni, it's a pleasure to be here. It's been a busy week.
Okay.
A lot of schedules made and met, but I am so glad to be with you today.
Okay. You know, I often think about you because we do collaborations on different events in and around Philadelphia. And you inspire me so much because you go above and beyond what I do with my events and my promotions, and I'm always happy to work with you and see you. So tell me what's been going on.
Toni, it's so much going on, but I have to just tell you this. Madam Butterfly. You know, I am eating, sleeping, living, breathing Madam Butterfly. Madam Butterfly is Giacomo Puccini's favorite love story opera. And just to give you a story of the storyline and recap of the storyline, it takes place in Nagasaki, Japan in the late 1800s. And it's about a teenage girl that falls in love with a U.S. serviceman. And she has high hopes and great dreams of becoming this esteemed housewife in the United States. But the serviceman, which I play the character, Lieutenant Pinkerton.
Okay.
I have another thought, another mindset. My mindset is to, for lack of a better term, sow my wild oats abroad.
Wow.
So what it is in Japan, I'm serving a tour of duty in the U.S. Military. And I meet this beautiful teenage geisha artist, and I fall in love with her. And through the customs of Japan in that time, I marry her. I set up house. And in my mind, this was my way of just having a good time, a fling. But in the back of my mind, I know that one day I have to return to the United States and marry an American woman and set up a permanent household in the United States.
So you were just having fun.
I was having fun. I was having fun. And you can imagine, Toni, how being a young officer, they see the beauty of the hillsides in Nagasaki, Japan, and the ocean, the harbor, and then the women.
Right.
Oh, and I just find, I guess I fall not in love, but I fall in total, for lack of a better term, it seems like infatuation.
Okay.
And so this story is a story that definitely unfolds. It starts out as pretty on the surface a love story that is going to be a happily ever after story. But as the story unfolds, nothing turns out the way Madam Butterfly, who is the main character, expects it to turn out.
Okay.
Her life is ruined because in the story, she renounces her people, she renounces her religion, she renounces her entire way of life just so that she could have the chance to become a proper American housewife.
Wow. Heavy story.
It's a heavy story.
Well, let me ask you something. Who is involved with the production?
Well, the production, it's David White, executive produced. And the production is a cast of and I'm so excited about this. It's a cast of all black actors that are very talented and gifted musicians, gifted vocalists. And so I just want to stress that, because to be able to start with an all-black cast, that really is so exciting to me. Now, I just want to remind you of this, that we do welcome all, as far as all ethnic background, diverse actors, we welcome that to our company. Totally, with the situation with starting with an all-black cast, it's exciting because it's not the cast that you would typically see at more of your mainstream opera houses around the world.
Where is it going to be at? You have to share that, because I think it's very interesting.
Okay, and that's a diversity in itself. The opera is going to be held in March at Pagoda Noodle Cafe. That is one of the premier Chinese restaurants in Philadelphia. And just to give you a cap of, I'm putting in a commercial plug for Pagoda. Pagoda has its own diversities. It is French-Chinese fusion. The chef of Pagoda actually studied not only in all parts of China, but also studied in France culinary skills. But bringing that home, we see that this opera really reflects all people of the world.
Wow. Wow. And this is not your first production.
It is not. And hopefully, Toni, it will not be my last.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the last production that you did.
Oh, yes. The last production that we did, it was beautiful. It was more along the line of a recital format. And a recital just explains to you how a recital format would go. One artist usually sings more than 6 songs.
Okay.
And the 6 songs are a mixture of music. But with this last production I did, I was excited because we had a chance to introduce to the audience a real heavy opera called Faust. And that opera, we were able to sing the finale from Faust. And in that opera, it talks about the redemption as far as being brought back through forgiveness to a higher calling. Redemption and being able to find yourself after a life of confusion and a life of just wrong. But in the end, being able to be led back to the right path. So that was exciting in that production. And that production also was a diverse cast of artists, and many of the same artists that you'll see in Madame Butterfly.
Okay. I find this interesting. The fact that you have decided to do this particular opera at Pagoda, and it's really not an opera house. It's not a place where there's a stage. When I went in to look at the place with you, I could only imagine, how's he going to do this? And I found out so fast that not only do you have an imagination, but your creativity was just like off the charts.
Toni, you're right about that. I'll tell you, Toni, it was such a challenge to take a look at this restaurant.
Nice.
And what we did as a cast and as artists, and I was so, I'm honored to be a part of this cast because the creativity just came out. We all met in a meet and greet session, and we took a look at the restaurant, and the entire cast transformed the restaurant to a house.
Okay.
Yes, a Japanese home. So when you take a look at it, and you'll see, for those who will be joining us in the audience that evening, you'll be able to see where your imagination can take you to a Japanese home. Beautiful staircase. Very creative, and as you said, it was a challenge because, as you can imagine, it wasn't your traditional arrangement where you have an audience that sits facing a cast of actors on a stage.
Yes.
We basically make the entire restaurant our stage for the evening.
Wow. So it's going to be like in dinner theater style? Is that?
Dinner theater format.
Okay.
And Toni, I know you're familiar with dinner theater and how that format goes. The special thing I have to just point out about dinner theater is that it's so intimate.
It is.
You get a chance to not only speak to the artist, you could basically reach out and touch the artist.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And that's the special part of dinner theater. For myself, I would say that I've never produced a dinner theater. I've actually taken part in dinner theater, but I'm saying more that this is something that I definitely want to explore more, doing
Mhm.
more dinner theater going forward. I think it's so exciting that the artist can be intimate with the audience
Mhm.
to the point where you have a chance to almost see the life of the artist and relate to the character that they play.
Wow. Now this is, I guess, what I came to like forward before going into the real beginning of what you how you started. I know that initially you weren't involved in opera. Initially, you I know that you always had a love for opera,
Yes,
but you were doing something different.
that is correct. I actually, as many of us did, we grew up with music in church,
Mhm.
and my skills in music in church really advanced to the point of not just a singer in the choir. I became the choir director. I became the producer of church programs. And as you can imagine, that covered gospel,
Mhm.
traditional church music. But family and friends all around me, they notice you have a different voice.
Okay.
It's a one of a kind voice, for lack of a better
Uh
term.
huh.
I didn't know what they meant by that. And then I met a teacher, a wonderful teacher, and can I say her name?
Sure.
Yeah, a wonderful teacher by the name of Rita McKinley. And Rita McKinley is a professor of music and of voice. She studied Europe all over. Rita McKinley has studied opera and performed all over Europe, all over the United States. And she's this dynamite teacher that basically started me off to the road of opera. She heard me sing, and right away she says, that is the voice that the producers are looking for.
Okay.
You have a voice that is made for that arena, that genre, and for that staging area.
Okay.
They want a voice that can sing over the orchestra and come through clearly.
Mhm.
And from there, Tony, that was the beginning of my journey through opera. Now I gotta say this, Tony, it wasn't easy when I first started out. I walked into the situation thinking that my goal is that I want to record an album.
Mhm.
I want to give myself 6 months to record an album. But when I shared that with other professionals, they quickly told me it's going to be more than 6 months for you to produce an album of that magnitude.
Mhm.
I was, as so they would say, green, excited
Wow.
about what I was doing,
Yes.
quickly learning, and on the fast pace with opera, but knew very little about the nuances, knew very little about the publication of opera, knew very little about just the taste in opera of what the professional, for lack of a better term, professional opera audience is looking for. You know, Tony, it took me almost 10 years to discover more of what I wanted to do in this field of music. And now, currently, I am happy to say I am working in various recordings
Mhm.
and putting together as far as many projects and productions that surrounds this genre of music.
Wow. Well, listen, I know that your current production is going to be as successful as your past productions, and I've been a part of a lot of things that you're doing, and I'm very excited and happy, and I can't wait until Madam Butterfly hits the stage, hits the restaurant, hits the dinner theater, because you work diligently, and so the folks that you're working with.
Yes.
I'm not going to tell everybody. I can't tell you what they call him, but he works hard and he gets it done. And I mean, that's how you have to do when you're a self-producer. You're producing and promoting your own things. You have to make it happen. You have to create the format, the stage, the opportunity, and you got to grab it by the horns and you just got to run as fast as you can. David, I have nothing else to say. I'm just happy that you were here. You've been a wonderful guest.
Thank you.
And I mean, my brother, what can I say?
Well, Toni, not to cut you off, but before we close, could I just give a shout out to my wonderful cast of Madam Butterfly, and more so also to my wonderful publicist. She knows who she is. Thank you.
Well, David, thank you. I was going to ask you to sing, but I know you have a cold.
Toni, a great vocalist always has something to give.
You want to give us a little something?
Yes.
Okay. Without further ado, I give you.
Go ahead, Toni.
Without further ado, I give you David White.
Toni, I had a chance to sing for a large opera house, Porgy and Bess, and specifically the role of Sport and Life.
Okay.
And this piece, I sort of kind of made famous. This is for you, Toni.
Okay.
Listen, there's a boat that's leaving soon for New York. Come with me, that's where we belong, sister, that's where we belong.
Wow, boy, oh boy.
Thank you.
Listen, I just love it. I love it. I love it. I'd like to say thank you so much for joining us for this segment of Limelight Locals. It has been my pleasure and an honor to interview David White. We hope to see you real soon. Thanks to Mermaid Mike of Mermaid Bar in East Mount Airy, and my co-producer and also the host of some of the other interviews, Miss Valori Steele. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.